And hello, welcome to this short little tutorial that I'm going to do on how to work within the Godot engine. So specifically how to utilize GDScript. So, I'm going to quickly start up Godot. I have it in my run command right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to New Project, and we're going to name our project real quick. We'll call it Example Tutorial. There we go. Now we want to find a place where we want to create this new project. We go to Browse, and it's always good to have a dedicated folder for your games. If you don't have a dedicated one, you can just click create folder, and you can create your own little dedicated Godot game folder. Once you have that little dedicated folder, you might want to create a new folder with your new game within it. So I'll just type here again example tutorial, so it all gets saved into this one folder. We'll select that current folder, and we will press create and edit. So we now inside the Godot engine. This is in 3D mode. We'll just swap over to 2D, so it runs a bit better. And now we're going to come up here. You'll see this thing says create root node. You want to click on 2D scene right here. And then you'll see this little script right up here with a little plus next to it. We want to click that. And then it's letting us create this script, and we'll just give it the name of script. And we'll press create. So I'm going to get rid of all of this, and I'm going to type in this little example code I made earlier. So let's start with the basics. Prior to adding any of the code right here, sorry, I added that. Ignore that. Let's start with comments. Basically, to make a comment, all you have to do is this right here. Just add a little pound symbol or hashtag or numero symbol or whatever you want to call it at the very beginning right here, and then just type whatever you need to type, and what you have is a comment. Variables are very simple to make. All you have to do is say var and then name your variable and add the data type. These are flexible data types that can hold any data that you want. Then we have the strict typed variables. These are the same as before, except we add a little colon right here, and then we add the type of variable data that we want this specific variable to hold, and then we add what we want it to equal. This is very good coding practice, so you don't accidentally have variables that are supposed to hold like integers accidentally hold strings. It's best to always define variables using strict typing, but it's not necessarily required. Then we can also create empty variables, like here, which we can define what they equal later on. They can be defined like that, where they're flexible, or they can be strict coded as well. Functions are pretty easy to make, but let's start with the in-engine functions. Right here is func ready, which basically means it runs everything as soon as the script is loaded. And this is very similar to ActionScript 2's on event load. So we can run this this right here. Printing out stuff to the output, which is this right here. Very simple. All you have to say is print, and then what you want it to print out. This also works for variables. Right here, b, which equals 2. We can print out the value of b by just saying print and whatever variable that we want to print out. We can define our variables later on like this. And as you can see, we're taking e, which is our variable right here that is empty, and we are equaling it, or setting it to b, which is 2, times d, which is our strict variable up here, that is equal to 8. And then we can print out that value. Now with printing out with printing out things with multiple values in them, it's very simple. All you gotta do is create a string, which we have our empty string up here called sentence. So we're taking our sentence and we're setting it to this right here. As you can see, we have the words there are, and then we have this funny little symbol right here, which is a percent sign, followed by an S, which is basically a little placeholder where we're going to put our values. So you just do this with wherever you want to put your values. Then we want to create another string right here, which is equal to the string that we want to modify, which in this case for us will be sentence, the little percent symbol. Then in these little brackets right here, we want to put all the variables that we want these little placeholders to be replaced with from left to right. So basically, since B is the first right here, this little placeholder right here will be equal to B. D right here will be set to the second placeholder. A will be set to this third placeholder, and so forth. Now we're actually going to call a function right here called print sentence. Though this one isn't really defined by the engine, so we can create one right down here, as you can see. Word of note, if you have an empty function, or anything that is empty for that matter, such as an if-else statement, a switch statement, or anything like that, always add pass, because it doesn't know that it's empty. Adding this little pass right here basically says that our function is, or if-else statement or anything, is completely empty. But anyways, let's get on to the print sentence right here. This is a little function where all we have to do is put func, then print sentence, just like that. And then we just add in the variables that we want to be parameters for our function. So in this case, I put x and set it to a string because we're just going to simply print out a string, and that string being, well, sent up here to format sentence. So all it does is just print whatever this is set to. So print sentence will then print out our new formatted sentence. And then a final little thing will be our if-else statement. And the if-else statement is pretty self-explanatory. Whatever condition in here is, when it returns it being true, it will just do whatever the code says in here. And if it's false, which we put the else here, it will run whatever code is right here. So basically, if our E, which is this right here, returns higher than 15, it will print out it being a lot of apples. Or else, it will print out that it is not a lot of apples. Basically, if it's lower than 15. So, let me run this for you, just to show you. Okay, let me just save this real quick, so I'll just press save. And there we are. Down here in the output, our program is functioning and it is running. As you can see, it starts with the simple fruit program has been printed. Let's see here. 2 has been printed, which is a value of B. 16 has been printed, which is B times D. And then it prints out our formatted sentence. There are 2 trees with 8 apples each, and that there are a total of 16 apples. And since it's higher than 16, it's a lot of apples. So there we go. We have now successfully created our very first program in here. Oh, one final note. Make sure that no matter what, with any function or if-else statement that you make, always indent the code that you want to be within the function. Because there are no brackets or curly brackets or anything like that, it tells if a piece of code is supposed to be within the scope of a statement or function by if it is indented or not. So remember to do that for all functions or if-else statements. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you around next time.